This week, Hillsboro, Texas, on Interstate 35 got even more chargers. IONNA re-celebrated their 2-year birthday, and EVgo suited up in formal in London for the IJ Global Award ceremony and took home the prize. Let's get into it. I'm here in Apex, North Carolina, the home of the first ever IONNA Rechargery, pictured behind me. Apex is known for being kind of a bedroom community out of the Research Triangle Park area of Raleigh-Durham. And nice town. It's kind of started off as a small country town, but has recently become rather bougie, and is home to IONNA's first Rechargery, with the full Rechargery with a bakery and a cafe pictured behind me. Nice facility, obviously canopy, Alpitronic hyperchargers, all the fixings. IONNA is pretty big in the news today, so I figured it was an appropriate place in order to shoot this video. First, we have a viewer submitted video from Blaine, Minnesota. Let's go to that now.
Hey Walter, it's Scott from Arizona, and I happen to be in Blaine, Minnesota for work and thought I'd stop by. This is the IONNA in Blaine at the National Sports Center. As you can see, the site is completely open, but construction is not done. I'm sure they're waiting for a little better weather to complete the station, as it opened in the middle of winter. You got 6 IONNA chargers, of course Alpitronic 400s, with 4 of the stalls, or 8 bays, having CCS, and the 2 over there are NACS, the 4 handles. Clearly labeled, and it's in a shopping strip center. So you have a El Norte Mexican bar and grill, bike shop, tattoo shop, liquor store, and then over here, that little blue building over there is a Caribou Coffee, a local Minnesota staple. And then over here you have a Quick Trip, the KWIK Quick Trip, with a convenience store, and there is a car wash that you can pay at that little box. It is conveniently located directly off of I-35, which is just over here, the entrance and exit over here to the left. And the Blaine National Sports Complex, which is the largest amateur sports complex in the country, is about 5 to 10 minutes away. So I'll try and make it back once this is completed and get an updated video. But as you can see, really nice clean site. Garbage cans, window washers, or windshield washers, and it's being well maintained. I'm not sure who's taking care of it, but probably Quick Trip, I'm guessing. All right, enjoy.
And that video was submitted by Scott, a viewer, so thanks Scott for providing a little bit of a walk around of the Blaine, Minnesota upcoming Rechargery. Nice looking facility. We also have a photo submitted by Indiana Mike of the pilot in Greenfield, Indiana, off Interstate 70. You can see this is another one of the sites that pilot has decided to pivot from only doing 4 stalls to instead doing 6 stalls. So coming soon to an Interstate 70 exit east of Indianapolis. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, Hillsboro, Texas got additional charging infrastructure. And for people who are not familiar with where that is, Interstate 35 is a part of the fabled Texas Triangle. Good morning. And heading out of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is Interstate 35 going down to Austin and San Antonio. And Hillsboro is halfway between Austin and Dallas Fort Worth. And why that's important, in my personal opinion, is not really that it's getting more charging stations. It's what's developing, and this is repeating over and over across the country, which is multiple charging providers at a single exit offering different styles of amenities. So at this one exit off Interstate 35, is specifically exit 370 in Hillsboro, there's a Buc-ee's. At the Buc-ee's is a Tesla supercharger with version 3.5 stalls. We also have a Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging at that same Buc-ee's. And then right across the street, British Petroleum just added a station at the Travel Centers of America with Alpitronic hyperchargers. So we got 2 stations with Alpitronic hyperchargers, both offering J3400 NACS and CCS1. And then we have the Tesla supercharger, which is available for CCS1 customers who have adapters, and of course anyone who's NACS native. And this whole situation where there's actually competition among CPOs on a given interstate exit is starting to become more and more common. So when you have chargers like this sitting behind us, eventually Tesla owners are going to figure that these are faster and nice cable management and all that stuff. And, you know, obviously plenty of chargers here. It's the same thing in Hillsboro at the BP Pulse station at the Travel Centers of America. And then it becomes a question of amenities or price or who knows what else, depending on the person. I think there's a bit of brand preference also. Tesla people just like going to Tesla superchargers because they're designed for it. And, you know, rightly so. At times not too long ago, Teslas could only go to Tesla superchargers, and those were designed specifically to refuel Teslas with the shorter cables and the cables in the right position. You had to back in and everything. And so I understand there's brand awareness, but I think as time goes on, this whole concept of uncoupling car badges from specific CPOs is going to erode to some extent, but I think it's also going to form new bonds. Like for some people like myself, I'm a General Motors EV owner, and IONNA gives us 10% discounts, and these are nice chargers. So I kind of have developed a bit of affinity for the IONNA charging stations, which there's quite a few in this area of North Carolina. And so me and my wife find that we prefer IONNA. So there is that, but I think it's just kind of a developing shift in the industry that because we're standardizing on J3400, and there's multiple charging providers at a single interstate exit, very similar to how there's multiple gas stations at a single interstate exit. This whole concept of, well, do I have a brand affinity? Do I look for the lowest price? Am I searching for a certain amenity? Is it close to the interstate exit? All these things are starting to become more and more important, when before it was just a game of survival to see if it was even possible to do a road trip in an electric vehicle. But we're past that point now. We're into having first world problems with, you know, is there a 24/7 facility with bathrooms adjacent to the charger? And maybe I want brisket, or maybe I want a burger. And so those are the types of decisions we're now staring down. Also this past week, Stellantis branded EVs, which is Dodge, Jeep, and Fiat, got access to the Tesla Supercharger network, which I believe also includes Tesla Superchargers in Canada for folks watching from there. I know Fiat has got a pretty good hold in Canada, and so people who are watching from Canada, I believe that includes you in the Tesla Supercharger stations that are open to non-Tesla vehicles in Canada as well. Also mentioned in the opening, Vandercon posted into LinkedIn an award by IJ Global that was handed out to EVgo this past week for Energy Transition Deal of the Year. Specifically, the first of its kind commercial financing for charging infrastructure in the United States. They had a DOE-backed loan, but they also got a loan from a private bank. And this award is recognizing their ability to do so. And basically what that's signaling is if banks are looking at electric vehicle charging as a viable investment, EVgo has recently flashed over to being a profitable organization, and banks, which really don't have any political motive whatsoever, look at the books and say, yeah, you could have a loan. That is significant. So IJ Global's awards this past week, and you can see the EVgo team dressed in formal wear, wearing tuxes and bow ties, and the ladies in formal dresses receiving the award. So congratulations to EVgo. It definitely is a signal that this industry is starting to become just another business venture instead of something that need to be subsidized by government funding in order to spark growth and investment. We're past that point now where it's actually a net positive business venture. So congratulations to EVgo. Another celebration happened this past week. Terawatt had a 5-year anniversary, which they're calling their Teraversary. It was published on International Women's Day by CEO and co-founder Neha Palmer. Shout out to all the women leaders in the industry. Terawatt designs depots for rideshare and autonomous fleets, as well as operate five hubs themselves for fleet service in the greater Los Angeles area, servicing the port of LA and the Inland Empire. Their most recent is near LAX and has a distinctive attached lounge, opened in October of last year. And they have a bit of an infographic that they posted into social, along with the LinkedIn post talking about all the good they have done with the amount of energy delivered and CO2 avoided. So congratulations to the good folks at Terawatt for fighting the good fight. Also, IONNA announced that they are giving GM owners, as I mentioned, 10% discount. And I did a standalone video on that on this channel. Feel free to go and watch that in full in order to get the specifics around it. It was coupled with their re-celebration, I guess, of their second year anniversary. And if everyone remembers, it wasn't so long ago we were all celebrating their second year anniversary by hosting parties at our local rechargeries, giving away swag and information and discounted pricing and things like that. But they posted it to social again. They passed the 100 Rechargery mark, so they're in triple digits now. And there was an interesting post by one of the board members. Her name is Ola BC Boyle. Sometimes just known as BC. She's the Senior Vice President of Product and Mobility at Hyundai Americas. Let me just read some of this. Standing here, breaking ground on a Beacon flagship IONNA charging site is what daily reliance looks like before the software even turns on. You are reminded of something simple. Before AI can orchestrate your day, infrastructure has to show up first. And this week, IONNA crossed a real milestone. 100 plus live charging sites nationwide in just 24 months. Building a network that drivers can actually rely on, not theoretically, not someday, but on Tuesday, is what changes the game. We talk a lot about the future of mobility being defined by AI, autonomy, software-defined vehicles, and it will be, but none of this matters if the fundamentals don't work. If charging isn't there when you need it, if the experience isn't seamless, if the system doesn't hold up in real life, if there is no infrastructure, there is no reliance. What's happening with IONNA is different. 8 automakers came together not to compete, but to build something foundational. But what has made this milestone possible is not just capital, not just strategy, but orchestration. Utilities across the country moving at IONNA speed, partners leaning in, over 40 utilities helping bring sites online, with many going above and beyond to energize multiple locations in under a year. That is not incremental, that is coordinated execution at scale. So she goes on and is very interesting motivational post, well worded, and I agree that we could talk about ephemeral software advantages and disadvantages, but if you don't have transformers juicing chargers at a charging station, it all doesn't really mean much. So infrastructure is definitely the name of the game. And speaking of which, viewer Buckeye EV Charging, let me know about the upcoming opening of the WAWA Travel Center in Lima, Ohio, on Interstate 75 between Toledo and Dayton. It has 18 stalls, and it actually opened on Thursday of this past week. The travel centers that WAWA operates are a new brand for them. Normally they just operate convenience stores, but travel centers actually help service long-haul truckers with the ability to park and rest, not sleep overnight, but they do allow you to park and rest, and also get your diesel fuel from a Canopy station. And at those travel centers, they've routinely been adding electric vehicle charging on the ribbon cutting day, on the day 0 of the opening. And the new one opened in Lima, Ohio, and on day 0 at the ribbon cutting, there was an 18 stall IONNA station paired with it. Additionally, this past week, IONNA opened several other stations: San Jose, California; Cherry Hill, New Jersey; Cambridge, Ohio; and Manhasset, New York, the first one in New York, which is 12 stalls. So they had a very good week. There was a little bit of murmurings about them having a bit of a slowdown in the majority of Q1, but that seems to have faded, and they are now on swing. Next, Jake Richardson of Clean Technica reported that ZapCharge, which is an international brand of Zansai Fast Charger New Energy Company Limited, which is based in China, had a press release, and this is a little bit hard to believe. They say they're going to install not 3,000, not 30,000, but 300,000 chargers throughout Latin America. So it almost feels unrealistic, but if they're serious, I mean, there's lots of ground to cover. Latin America basically is from the Rio Grande River down to the Antarctic. It's a huge swath of land, so plenty of land to fill in. And so I guess it makes sense, but they say they've committed to installing 300,000 chargers, and they say both in urban and rural areas is their intention of where to put these. So I guess we'll take a look, try to see if that actually pans out. Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging had a milestone passed. They now have over 800 ports in operation, according to a post posted onto LinkedIn. And they're definitely not slowing down. They've done a good job of keeping the momentum going. While other CPOs have kind of been resting through the first part of the first quarter, Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging has been working and getting it done. And many stations opened throughout the first quarter. They've had a tremendous success as of late. Next, in another LinkedIn post, and LinkedIn has kind of been pretty active this past week with posts about EV charging. There was one from a person who works at Pilot Corp's EV station build project team. His name is Joshua Copeland. And he's talking about the evolution of their design approach. And let me just read some of this. First off, he qualifies this is not AI, read on. He's actually typing onto a keyboard. It's kind of sad we have to qualify that. And by the way, I am not an AI robot. At least I don't think so. I'm a real human being sitting at a real electric vehicle charging station. Now that Joshua says, now that the EV charging is readily available in most locations, I think it's time we talked about the customer experience. At Pilot, we are well over halfway to our 1900 stall program. Even us in the early days were like, just get them installed. However, as a company, one of our values is welcoming. That's quote unquote welcoming. So we're evolving into a program that's taking to heart, what does this mean for us? And he gives 4 bullet points. The days of installing a $150,000 charger in a parking stall with potholes, cracks, and puddles is over. We're installing new asphalt as needed. So some of these pilot locations have been around many decades and are a little bit war for wear. So when they're putting in electric vehicle charging stations, they're going to put in new asphalt. 2, welcoming for everyone. We strive to have an ADA stall that works in every situation. 14-foot stall, 5-foot wide path of travel from the van accessible side all the way around to the dispenser with poured concrete. Didn't know that was one of the things that makes that easier, but apparently they do, and they're striving to ensure that that's in their station design. 3, we'll install a path of travel to the store whenever possible. We have some properties where it's just impossible, but we try. And I have seen that, where their station is kind of off away from the gas pumps, but they put in a walkway, painted lines leading into the facility, just to kind of give people a bit of safety as there's cross traffic going, because they're pretty busy locations. 4, a top-of-the-line canopy that shades our customers from the sun and bad weather and lights the way at night. I know every company can't provide bathrooms, food, and even showers, just kind of rubbing it in. Pilot, you can actually pull in, charge your car, and go take a shower if you want. You could actually get your laundry done too, because there's laundry facilities in those Pilot travel centers also. But as an industry, we need to shift our thinking to, how do we attract people who need to charge? Kind of like what I was mentioning with the Hillsboro, Texas exit that now has got 3 different charging providers all immediately off the exit. Now that there are many options for EV drivers, they're going to choose the location that makes them feel good. Their choice is not based on necessity any longer. I encourage you to think before you install. So thank you, Joshua, for echoing a sentiment that I also see occurring throughout the industry, and IONNA has definitely taken to heart. They're definitely driver-focused. Pilot, speaking of which, opened 4 stations since the last update. One is in Fernley, Nevada, east of Reno on Interstate 80, Junction, Texas on Interstate 10, west of San Antonio, Ellabelle, Georgia on Interstate 16 headed towards Savannah, and Tumwater, Washington on Interstate 5 just south of Olympia. And the picture I have provided here is from Anthony C., a viewer who lives in Seattle. Thanks for watching.